Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we're going to talk about a really interesting poll by the Associated Press and its possible effects on the election and the Republican Party and the long term impacts of a false perception and how it might drastically alter the outcome of elections for 6 or 8 years down the road. So, I know what's the poll? Roughly 5 out of 10 Americans have a high degree of certainty that the votes will be counted accurately in the midterms. That's actually an improvement, by the way, because in 2020 it was only 4 in 10. Which means over the last 2 years, it really hasn't altered that much. We know which party believes this. This is something that is it's very indicative of a certain set of beliefs. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that while people believe this, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud like anywhere. It's not a thing. It's a perception encouraged by politicians who count on people showing up to vote for them to stay in office. It's interesting in the sense that I would love to know how the people who push this rhetoric square that rhetoric with the fact that they're constantly telling their supporters to get out and vote. If they actually believed this, they wouldn't be saying that because it doesn't matter, right? It's just them lying to their base because they know their base is gullible. At least they believe it is. Based on this poll, they are. But here's the thing. What happens long term? If this belief persists and people really start to internalize the idea that, well, it doesn't really matter, do you think they're going to show up? What do you think that's going to do to voter turnout? And it's going to be pretty partisan. It's going to impact the Republican Party far more than the Democratic Party. Because the Democratic Party isn't trying to manufacture a grievance to prepare to lose. The Republican Party put this idea out there, and it's going to have to be the Republican Party that fixes it. Instead, they're nominating candidates and running candidates and funding candidates who say that the elections aren't secure, despite all the evidence. They had 2 years to produce evidence to say something, anything, was really wrong with it, and they couldn't. At that point, you kind of have to wonder why they believe it, if there's no evidence to back it up. But because it has resonated with a certain group of people, they're going to continue to spout this. They're going to continue to say it. They're going to continue to cast doubt on the tool that allows them to stay in office. Because eventually, people will get tired of the antics. You know, right now they're saying, oh, well, you need to show up and watch the polls, safeguard it, and all of that stuff. Yeah, that's only going to work for like an election or two. And then people are going to realize that they're not catching anything. But if the rhetoric keeps up, I mean, it just kind of goes to show that it's all pointless, right? That's going to be the takeaway. The Republican Party is damaging their chances at elections for years with this. This gets internalized. People really start to believe this and hold on to this. They're not going to take the time out of their day. It's wild to watch a group of people listen to somebody who got into office because they were voted in say that, the votes aren't accurate. The cognitive dissonance there is just amazing. And this is going to end up being like the lack of a response to the public health issue. The people who are putting out the bad information, it's going to damage them the most. I want to say one more time, there's no evidence. There is no evidence to back up this idea. None. It's been 2 years, and they've strung along half the country with, my cousin has the evidence. My uncle has the evidence. I'll release it at this expo. But it never comes because it doesn't exist. Because they don't have it. They tricked you. They tried to energize you. They tricked you. They fell into the rhetoric. And now they're stuck with it. And none of them have the ability to just walk out and tell the truth. Because they've conditioned their base to believe it now. Long term, this is going to be a huge issue for the Republican Party. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.